Hey everyone. My awesome YouTube family. Welcome back to the channel, 6-Path Weeb. Today, we're diving into another exciting chapter of our fanfiction series. What if Naruko inherited tainted chakra? Part 3. But first, a quick disclaimer. This content is purely for entertainment and discussion purposes. I do not own any of the anime footage used, all rights and credits go to their respective creators and copyright holders. Now, without further ado, let's jump right into it. It was an early morning, and Tsunade was resting peacefully when she felt a gentle tap on her cheek. Slowly opening her eyes, she was met with the bright gaze of her little sunshine, already wide awake and watching her curiously. Without hesitation, the child nestled into her neck, pressing a soft kiss against her skin. Tsunade couldn't help but smile as she wrapped her arms around her daughter, gently rubbing her back. So, Naru-chan is excited about her training, isn't she? Tsunade asked softly. Naruko nodded against her neck, making her smile even more. Sitting up, Tsunade placed her daughter on her lap, brushing her golden locks affectionately as Naruko played with hers. Ka-chan, what are we learning today? Naruko asked eagerly. Tsunade chuckled as she continued running her fingers through Naruko's hair. Today, we're going to try and unlock your chakra, Naru-chan. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. That's the energy you use for those amazing jutsu, right, Ka-chan? Tsunade giggled at her daughter's enthusiasm and nodded. That's right. But before we get into that, I'll teach you what chakra is, how to unlock it, and how to start using it. Naruko beamed happily as Tsunade carried her to the kitchen, where they shared breakfast. Afterward, Tsunade took her to the clan grounds, choosing a peaceful spot under a large tree. She helped Naruko sit cross-legged and settled beside her, while Shizune observed from a short distance, eager to witness Naruko's first steps toward becoming a shinobi. Alright, Naru-chan, I'll explain everything about chakra in detail. Listen carefully, and if there's anything you don't understand, just ask, okay? Naruko nodded attentively. Tsunade raised 2 fingers. Chakra is the core energy that shinobi use to enhance their abilities. It is made up of 2 components. She curled 1 finger. The first is spiritual energy, which forms our yin chakra. It comes from the mind and represents one's inner essence. This energy grows through gaining knowledge, practicing concentration, and meditating. With time and experience, it strengthens. She paused to ensure Naruko was following along. Seeing her daughter's eager nod, she continued, curling her second finger. The second component is physical energy, also known as yang chakra. This energy comes from the body and is developed through rigorous training, stamina building, and physical conditioning. Naruko listened intently, absorbing every word. Tsunade smiled, proud of her daughter's focus. When these 2 energies merge, they create chakra. While it's possible to use them separately, mastering such a technique is extremely rare and requires incredible control. She asked Naruko to repeat everything, and to her amazement, her daughter recited the explanation perfectly, word for word. Tsunade grinned at the unexpected display of memory and intelligence. Alright, now let's work on unlocking your chakra, she announced. Naruko's face lit up with excitement. Okay. First, relax your body and close your eyes. Focus inward and try to sense a warm pull near your stomach, alright? Naruko nodded and did as instructed, sitting in silent concentration for half an hour. However, she couldn't quite find the sensation her mother described. Opening her eyes, she looked slightly disheartened, but Tsunade patted her head reassuringly. Don't worry, Naru-chan. Very few people unlock their chakra on the first try. Give it another go. Encouraged, Naruko nodded determinedly and resumed meditating. Shizune sat beside Tsunade, watching with interest. Tsunade-sama, how is she doing? Shizune asked. She's doing wonderfully. She memorized the basics of chakra instantly. She'll unlock it soon, she's sharp, just like her mother, Tsunade said proudly. They sat for another hour, surprised at how focused the young girl remained. Naruko's breathing slowed, her mind becoming still as she searched within. Suddenly, in the depths of her consciousness, she spotted a faint blue glow. Instinctively, she reached for it, drawing it toward her. A powerful burst of purple chakra erupted from Naruko's body. Both Tsunade and Shizune tensed as the sheer intensity of the energy sent chills down their spines. The ground beneath Naruko cracked, and the wild, untamed chakra swirled violently around her. Their eyes widened at the overwhelming amount of energy radiating from the small girl. For 10 seconds, the raw chakra flared before settling. Naruko slowly opened her eyes, feeling a newfound sense of strength. She could now sense her mother and Shizune with incredible clarity, pinpointing their exact locations. The sensation was incredible. Seeing their stunned expressions, she grinned, proud of herself. Attempting to stand, her legs trembled, her vision blurred, and she wobbled forward. Before she could fall, Tsunade caught her, lifting her into her arms. Naruko instinctively wrapped her arms around her mother's neck, resting her head against her shoulder with a tired chuckle. "I did it, Ka-chan," she murmured, her voice sleepy. Tsunade smiled warmly, stroking her hair. "Yes, you did, my little angel. I'm so proud of you." "I feel so sleepy, Ka-chan," Naruko mumbled softly. "You did amazing, Naru-chan. That was a lot of chakra for your first time. Rest now. A good nap and some food will help you recover," Tsunade reassured her. Naruko gave a small nod, her eyes fluttering shut as exhaustion took over. Tsunade gently rubbed her back, ensuring her daughter was deep in sleep before carrying her inside. She laid Naruko on the couch, resting the girl's head on her lap, while Shizune covered her with a blanket. Running her fingers through Naruko's hair, Tsunade smiled as her daughter snuggled closer, purring softly when she brushed over her whisker marks. The moment was peaceful, filled with warmth. Shizune eventually broke the silence. She unlocked it on her first day, "Tsunade-sama." Her voice was calm but filled with amazement. Tsunade nodded, gazing at her sleeping daughter. "Yes, she did. She's already showing signs of remarkable potential. It took me an entire week to unlock mine." Shizune's eyes widened. "And did you notice how dense her chakra was? I've never felt anything like it." She cracked the ground, and her chakra wasn't the usual light blue, it was purple. Tsunade exhaled, recalling the immense energy her daughter had released. "It's been years since I've felt chakra this powerful," she admitted. Shizune looked at her curiously. "What do you mean?" Tsunade's gaze softened. "The last time I encountered chakra this dense was when I trained with my grandfather and granduncle. They possessed the strongest chakra I had ever felt. Until today. Naru-chan's chakra was nearly as potent as my grandfather's, and she hasn't even learned how to control it yet." Shizune's eyes widened further, realization dawning upon her. "You don't mean?" Tsunade simply nodded, her expression filled with both pride and anticipation for what the future would hold. "She possesses strong Senju lineage. My clan was renowned for its exceptional chakra, which granted us a wide range of abilities. If mastered, one particular skill became nearly unstoppable when combined with our other talents, hence why we were called the Clan of 1,000 Skills. I'm not sure what Naruko has awakened within her, but there's no doubt she will be remarkable. My chakra was potent enough to enhance my medical abilities, granting me advanced healing skills. Perhaps I can pass down all my knowledge to her. She truly is my daughter," Tsunade said fondly, while Shizune sat in stunned silence. "But Tsunade-sama, how is that possible? Naruko is an Uzumaki." Shizune questioned, only to be gently interrupted. "Yes, but the Uzumaki clan are cousins of the Senju. They primarily specialized in Fuinjutsu and Kenjutsu, rarely channeling their dense chakra into other fields. As a result, much of their potential remained dormant. Perhaps Naruko's chakra has awakened its hidden potential due to all the years I've nurtured her. That's the most plausible explanation," Tsunade reasoned. Shizune listened carefully, nodding in agreement, as her master's logic made perfect sense. "So, what do you think she will awaken?" Shizune asked curiously. Tsunade smiled as she cradled her daughter in her lap. "I can't say for certain, but whatever it is, it will be incredibly powerful, given the sheer density of her chakra," she said. Shizune nodded, smiling as she witnessed the warmth in Tsunade's eyes. With that, she left to prepare lunch. Several hours later, Naruko stirred, nuzzling against Tsunade's stomach with a sleepy yawn, making her mother giggle. As she opened her eyes, Tsunade placed a gentle kiss on her forehead, earning a sleepy smile from the little girl as she rubbed her eyes. "Ka-chan, why am I so tired?" Naruko asked, her voice groggy with drowsiness. Tsunade chuckled at her innocent question. "Well, Naru-chan, this was the first time you unleashed your chakra. And being the energetic little one that you are, you overdid it and used more than your body was prepared for," she explained softly. Naruko grinned mischievously, making Tsunade smile at her daughter's boundless spirit. "How did it feel to use your chakra for the first time?" Tsunade asked as Naruko laid her head on her lap. She gently combed her fingers through the girl's golden locks. "It felt amazing, Ka-chan. I felt so powerful, like I could do anything. I could even sense where you and Nei-chan were, even with my eyes closed," Naruko exclaimed excitedly. Tsunade's eyes widened in surprise. Wait. What did you just say, Naru-chan? You could sense where Shizune and I were? Can you describe what you felt? She asked, intrigued. Naruko thought for a moment before nodding. Yeah. It was like these little beacons of light. Yours was bigger and brighter than Nei-chan's, and both had different colors. But I could only sense them when my chakra was activated. I can't feel them right now, she explained. A bright smile spread across Tsunade's face as she pulled her daughter into a warm embrace. Oh, my little Naru-chan is a sensor. She squealed, hugging her tightly. Naruko giggled and snuggled into her mother's arms, planting a soft kiss on her neck. Ka-chan, what's a sensor? She asked innocently after a moment. Tsunade smiled at her curiosity. A sensor is someone with the natural ability to detect the presence of others through their chakra. It's an extremely useful skill, especially for shinobi. While many experienced ninja can develop their own sensory techniques, none can match the power of someone born with it, she explained. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. Wow! Is it really that amazing? Tsunade nodded. Absolutely. Sensors are rare and incredibly valuable in the shinobi world. Because of their ability, they're much harder to ambush since they can sense an enemy's presence before they even get close. It's a powerful gift, and I'll make sure to help you develop it properly, alright? Naruko beamed and nodded eagerly. Okay, Ka-chan. Tsunade reached for the tray beside her, lifting a bowl of miso soup and rice. As Naruko tried to grab her chopsticks, her small hands trembled, causing her to drop them. Tsunade gently placed her hands over her daughter's, stopping her attempts. I'll feed you, Naru-chan. Your body is still adjusting to your newly awakened chakra, so you should take it easy until tomorrow, alright? She said kindly. Naruko pouted for a moment but nodded, allowing her mother to feed her. Once she finished eating, Naruko let out a cute yawn. Tsunade chuckled and scooped her up, carrying her to bed. She tucked her daughter in, pressing a tender kiss to her forehead before stepping out of the room. As she settled down, Tsunade picked up a scroll containing Minato's taijutsu style. She had been studying it for over a year to prepare for Naruko's training. She had to admit, it was a formidable style when mastered. Carefully analyzing each detail, she made mental notes on how best to guide her daughter through it. Shizune, noticing her master's intense focus, smiled. Ever since Naruko entered her life, Tsunade had abandoned her old vices. No more gambling, no more drinking. It filled Shizune with pride to see this change. So, Tsunade-sama, what will you be teaching her tomorrow? She asked. Tsunade set the scroll down and stretched. Tomorrow, I'll introduce her to Minato's taijutsu style and let her get familiar with it. Then, we'll work on some basic chakra control exercises. She'll also continue her calligraphy lessons and start learning the fundamentals of Fuinjutsu. This way, she won't feel overwhelmed, but she'll still progress steadily. The plan is taijutsu training in the morning, chakra control and theory in the afternoon, and Fuinjutsu lessons after lunch. Then, she'll have the evening to relax and play before dinner. Shizune nodded approvingly. That sounds like a well-balanced schedule. With one-on-one training from a Sanin, she'll grow tremendously, she mused. The two continued their conversation for a while before Tsunade decided to turn in for the night. As she climbed into bed, Naruko instinctively cuddled up beside her, wrapping her small arms around her mother. Tsunade smiled warmly, holding her daughter close as she drifted off to sleep. The next morning, Tsunade stirred as the soft glow of the morning sun warmed her face. She blinked awake, gazing fondly at the little girl curled up beside her. A gentle smile graced her lips as she pulled Naruko closer, feeling the warmth of her tiny frame. As she placed a soft kiss on the girl's golden hair, Naruko instinctively nestled deeper into her embrace, making Tsunade chuckle. Pressing playful kisses all over her daughter's face, Tsunade giggled as Naruko squirmed, trying to escape. Ka-chan, stop. That tickles. Naruko squealed between fits of laughter. Tsunade relented with a smile, watching as Naruko yawned and clung to her, eyes fluttering shut once more. Come on, sweetheart, time to wake up, Tsunade murmured, running her fingers through Naruko's messy blonde hair. 5 more minutes, Naruko mumbled sleepily, tightening her hold around her mother. Tsunade chuckled, deciding to let her rest a little longer. After a few more minutes, Naruko finally stirred, rubbing her sleepy eyes as she peered up at Tsunade with curiosity. So, what's the plan for today, Ka-chan? She asked eagerly. Tsunade smiled, already anticipating the question. Today, we're going to start something new. But I'll tell you once we begin, she teased. Naruko pouted, her wide blue eyes filled with playful mischief. Please. You love me, don't you, Ka-chan? You can tell me, she said sweetly, gently cupping her mother's cheek. Tsunade sighed, shaking her head with amusement. You're getting too clever for your own good. But this time, you won't win me over with that look. Now, come on. Before Naruko could protest, Tsunade scooped her up effortlessly, tossing her over her shoulder. Ka-chan. Let me down. Naruko squealed, kicking her legs and playfully tapping Tsunade's back. Tsunade only laughed. You're 100 years too early to get the best of me, young lady. Shizune, who had just entered the dining room, giggled at the sight of the two blondes. They all enjoyed breakfast together in comfortable silence before heading outside to begin the day's training. Training begins. Tsunade led Naruko to a small clearing, where the young girl bounced excitedly. Alright, Naru-chan, Tsunade began, watching her daughter's eager expression. Today, we're starting with the first major branch of the shinobi arts, taijutsu, or hand-to-hand combat. Most people focus on one style that blends offense and defense, but in your case, we'll take a different approach. Naruko tilted her head in curiosity. Why's that, Ka-chan? Tsunade smiled. Well, my fighting style is mostly defensive, with only a few offensive techniques that I've developed myself. Instead of limiting you to just my approach, we'll first train you in your father's taijutsu style, which is entirely offensive. Then, we'll see if you can master my defensive techniques and eventually learn the special move I use to bridge the gap between the two. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. Really? That sounds amazing. Tsunade chuckled. It won't be easy, but I know you can do it. Now, let's get started. She handed Naruko a scroll containing the taijutsu katas. The young blonde unrolled it and began mimicking the stances. As expected, she made plenty of mistakes, but Tsunade patiently corrected her, helping her adjust her posture and movements. By noon, Naruko was panting heavily, her muscles aching from the unfamiliar exertion. She flopped onto the ground, catching her breath. Wow. To-san must have been really fast to master all of this, she muttered. Tsunade chuckled, sitting beside her and placing Naruko's head on her lap, gently stroking her hair. And here I thought you'd have it mastered by lunchtime, she teased playfully. Naruko shot her a tired glare. Hey! Not my fault, To-san was a speed freak. Just you wait, I'll master it soon enough. Tsunade giggled before placing a gentle kiss on Naruko's forehead. I have no doubt, sweetheart. One day, you'll surpass both me and your father. Naruko's eyes widened, her heart swelling with emotion. Really? She whispered. Tsunade nodded sincerely. I believe in you completely. Tears welled up in Naruko's eyes as she threw herself into her mother's arms. I love you, Ka-chan, she murmured against Tsunade's shoulder. Tsunade held her close, smiling warmly. I know, my little sunshine. And I love you most of all. Naruko giggled, pulling back slightly. Nope. I love you the mostest. Tsunade chuckled. The mostest, huh? Hi. Naruko grinned. All right then, Tsunade said with a laugh, hugging her tightly. I love you the mostest, too. You're my little angel. Naruko huffed, puffing out her cheeks. I'm not cute. I'm dangerous. Tsunade's eyes twinkled mischievously. Oh? Dangerous, are you? Before Naruko could react, Tsunade pounced, tickling her mercilessly. Ruah-ar. Tsunade playfully roared as Naruko shrieked with laughter, wiggling helplessly. Ka-chan, stop. It tickles. All right, I'm cute. Just stop. Naruko pleaded between giggles. Satisfied, Tsunade scooped her up, holding her close. From a distance, Shizune watched the pair with a fond smile. Chakra control training. Once Naruko caught her breath, Tsunade settled her down for the next lesson. Alright, Naru-chan, now we're going to start your chakra control training. Do you remember how you managed to release your chakra yesterday? Naruko nodded. Yeah, but it made me feel all fuzzy. Tsunade giggled, making Naruko pout. That's because you haven't learned to control it yet. You pulled out almost all your chakra at once and let it disperse into the air, which left you feeling dizzy, she explained. Naruko groaned. Hey! That's not funny. Tsunade laughed as Naruko turned away with a huff, crossing her arms in mock annoyance. Smiling, Tsunade moved behind her, pulling her onto her lap and resting her chin on Naruko's shoulder. Come on, sweetheart, you're not mad at your Ka-chan, are you? She cooed. Naruko stubbornly looked away. Tsunade's lips twitched as an idea formed. She let out a dramatic sniffle, covering her face with her hands. Immediately, Naruko's expression softened. "Ka-chan?" she whispered, her voice filled with concern. Tsunade continued her act, letting out another sniff. Naruko's eyes welled up as she wrapped her arms around Tsunade. "I'm sorry. Please don't cry," she murmured, kissing her mother's cheek. Tsunade grinned mischievously, lifting her head to reveal a triumphant smile. Naruko's jaw dropped. "Wait, you tricked me." Tsunade giggled. "See? You're still 100 years too early to outsmart me, young lady." Naruko huffed, cheeks burning in embarrassment, but her mother's laughter was too infectious to resist. With a defeated sigh, she giggled, leaning into Tsunade's embrace once more, ready to take on whatever challenge came next. "All right, let's move forward. To begin mastering chakra control, the first and most fundamental exercise is the leaf balancing technique. Just like yesterday, find that warm sensation in your core and focus on directing it to the leaf you'll place on your forehead. The goal is to make it stick using your chakra," she explained, handing Naruko a leaf. Naruko nodded in understanding, placing the leaf on her forehead before closing her eyes in concentration. She recalled the warm pull from the previous day and carefully directed it toward her forehead. As she channeled her chakra, she suddenly felt an unexpected dampness. Startled, she opened her eyes to find the leaf soaked and sticking to her forehead. Confused, she glanced up at the sky, expecting rain, but the sky was completely clear. She looked at the wet leaf in her hand, puzzled by what had just happened. Ka-chan, I think it's about to rain. Should we go inside and continue practicing?" she asked innocently, unaware of what she had just accomplished. Turning to Tsunade, Naruko noticed her mother's wide-eyed expression of shock and disbelief. Uneasy under her intense gaze, Naruko fidgeted with her shirt, growing nervous. "Did I do something wrong, Ka-chan?" she asked timidly. Tsunade snapped out of her daze, realizing Naruko was growing anxious, her bottom lip trembling as if she feared disappointing her. "I'm sorry. I really tried, I'll do it again, don't worry." Sniff. "I'm sorry," Naruko whimpered, quickly wiping at the tears threatening to spill as she reached for another leaf. Before she could grab one, Tsunade gently scooped her into a warm embrace. The sight of her daughter's hurt expression and soft sniffles tugged at her heart, making her hold Naruko close while soothingly rubbing her back. "Naru-chan, you did an amazing job. I was so surprised by how well you performed that I was momentarily speechless. I'm incredibly proud of you," she reassured her, speaking softly. Naruko sniffled into her mother's shoulder, feeling comforted. "Really? I did good? You're not upset or disappointed?" she asked hesitantly. Tsunade cupped her daughter's face, gently wiping away the lingering tears before pressing a soft kiss to her forehead. "My little Naru-chan could never disappoint me because you always find a way to amaze me," she said warmly. Naruko beamed at her words, snuggling deeper into her mother's arms before planting a small kiss on Tsunade's neck. Tsunade smiled, savoring the tender moment before pulling back slightly. "Now, let's move on to your calligraphy practice, all right?" she suggested. Naruko tilted her head in curiosity. "But what about my chakra control training, Ka-chan?" she asked. Tsunade chuckled, ruffling her daughter's golden locks, earning a giggle from the young kunoichi. "We'll pick it up again tomorrow. I need to make some adjustments to ensure the training is more effective for you. In the meantime, go ahead and start on your calligraphy. I'll join you in a moment, all right?" she said kindly. Naruko nodded enthusiastically before dashing off to begin her practice. Once she was out of sight, Tsunade walked inside, poured herself a glass of water, and took a long sip before sitting at the dining table, deep in thought. Moments later, Shizune entered the room, immediately noticing her mentor's distant expression as she stared at the water. Concerned, Shizune sat across from her. "Tsunade-sama, is something wrong?" she asked gently. Tsunade blinked, momentarily startled before offering a fond smile. "It seems that Naru-chan truly is my daughter in more ways than one," she murmured. Shizune tilted her head in confusion while Tonton let out a questioning oink. "What do you mean, Tsunade-sama?" "Of course, she's your daughter," Shizune replied, puzzled. Tsunade shook her head with a proud grin. "No, I mean she's more closely tied to the Senju lineage than we ever realized. Today, she awakened a dormant ability unique to our clan. I finally understand what it is, and I couldn't be prouder," she said, her voice filled with admiration. Shizune's curiosity grew, and she leaned forward eagerly. What ability did she awaken? Please tell me, Tsunade-sama. She pleaded. Tsunade chuckled at her apprentice's excitement before finally revealing, our little ray of sunshine is more closely connected to my great-uncle than we ever imagined. She has inherited the special skill of one of the two most powerful senju in history. Shizune's eyes widened in shock. Why, you don't mean? She stammered. Tsunade nodded, her grin widening. Yes. Naruko has inherited Tobirama Senju's absolute control over the water element. The very phenomenon my great-uncle once described from his childhood, proving his strong affinity for water, occurred today with Naruko. Shizune was stunned, her jaw practically dropping as she processed the revelation. But the leaf exercise never worked for your great-uncle, she pointed out in confusion. Exactly, Tsunade confirmed. Why is that, Tsunade-sama? Shizune asked, eager to understand. Tsunade's gaze softened as she recalled her great-uncle's stories. Because his affinity for water was so strong that whenever he channeled his chakra into a leaf, instead of it staying in place, it would become drenched. And today, the exact same thing happened with Naru-chan. Shizune gasped in realization. That's incredible, Tsunade-sama. Naruko is going to be so powerful one day, she said excitedly. Tsunade nodded, but her expression grew serious. Yes, but we must keep this to ourselves for now. Not even Jiraiya should know. I don't want him treating Naru-chan differently or pushing her too hard to master this ability. The fewer people who know, the better. Many have tried to obtain such mastery over an element, but it can only be inherited. Naruko's connection to the Senju bloodline has granted her a rare and invaluable gift, one that could make her a target if word got out. Shizune immediately understood the gravity of the situation and nodded. You're right, Tsunade-sama. I won't tell anyone. Good, Tsunade said, relaxing slightly. As for how this will affect her training, we'll need to modify the chakra control exercises to better suit her abilities. I'll start reviewing my great-uncle's scrolls from the Senju archives to ensure she trains correctly. While her affinity will make elemental water manipulation easier, she'll still need excellent chakra control to use it effectively. This will also benefit her medical ninjutsu. One day, I'll ensure her control is as refined as mine. Her voice held firm determination, and Shizune smiled in admiration. I'll help however I can, Tsunade-sama, she offered sincerely. Tsunade nodded, feeling a deep sense of pride. She was determined to pass on her skills to her daughter and watch Naruko carry on her legacy. Time skip, 1 year later. Shizune stood at the sink, carefully washing and drying the dishes before placing them neatly on the shelves. She hummed softly, enjoying the peaceful atmosphere of the house as she went about her chores. Life had settled into a steady and comforting rhythm ever since her mentor had taken Naruko under her wing. The once reckless and indulgent habits of gambling and drinking had faded away, replaced by an unwavering focus on raising and training her precious daughter. Tsunade wanted to ensure that Naruko could take care of herself, especially when she wasn't there to protect her from the dangers lurking beyond the safety of their home. Naru-chan? Tsunade's voice echoed through the house, breaking the tranquility. The sound of hurried footsteps followed, growing louder until Tsunade appeared in the doorway, a small frown creasing her face. Shizune? She murmured, as if surprised to find her there. Is something wrong, Lady Tsunade? Shizune asked, immediately noticing the worry in her mentor's hazel eyes. Tsunade's concerned gaze sharpened. Where's Naruko, Shizune? I've looked everywhere, but I can't find my girl. She huffed, a mix of irritation and concern in her tone. Shizune giggled softly, easily recognizing the situation. Tsunade had clearly just woken from a nap, her tousled golden hair and slightly puffy eyes were enough evidence. The irritation in her voice was more from not waking up with her daughter in her arms than anything else. Lady Tsunade, Naruko went into the forest about an hour ago. She seemed deep in thought, as if searching for something important. Shizune trailed off as Tsunade suddenly pinched the bridge of her nose, realization dawning on her. She's probably looking for those herbs I was teaching her about before I dozed off. That girl is far too curious for her own good sometimes, Tsunade muttered, still frustrated at not finding her daughter curled up beside her after her nap. Shizune shook her head in amusement as Tsunade plopped into a chair, resting her forehead against the table with a tired sigh. Naruko had been doing this frequently over the past few weeks. The moment Tsunade finished a lesson about rare herbs, Naruko would run off to search for them, regardless of whether they were actually found in this region. It drove Tsunade crazy, especially since Naruko would always promise to stay put, only to disappear the second her back was turned. The most infuriating part? Almost every time, Naruko would return with the very herb Tsunade had spoken about, some so rare that even experienced medical nin struggled to locate them. It had reached a point where Tsunade half-jokingly suggested putting Naruko to work in a casino as a good luck charm. "She'll be back soon, my lady. Why don't you have some tea while you wait?" Shizune offered, handing her a cup. Tsunade accepted it tiredly, and Shizune couldn't help but chuckle. It was amusing to see how completely drained Tsunade became when Naruko wasn't near. The same was true in reverse. If Naruko ever woke up without her mother nearby, she would grow restless and anxious, quickly honing her senses to track Tsunade down. Their bond was unshakable, and Shizune found it heartwarming. Not that she wasn't a little envious. She adored Naruko and wished the girl would cling to her the same way, but she knew she was being silly. Naruko loved her dearly, but her heart belonged to her mother above all else. "Ka-chan?" A soft voice came from the entrance to the kitchen. Tsunade's head shot up instantly, and Shizune turned as well. Both women gasped at the sight before them. Naruko stood in the doorway, barely recognizable beneath layers of mud covering her from head to toe. Only a few stray locks of golden hair peeked through the mess, offering the slightest clue to her identity. Tsunade was on her feet in a heartbeat, dropping to her knees in front of her daughter. Her hands cupped Naruko's muddy cheeks, eyes scanning her face with concern. "Naru-chan, what happened to you, sweetheart?" she asked, gently inspecting her for any injuries. Naruko, unfazed by her appearance, beamed and pulled something from behind her back. Carefully cradled in her hands was a delicate flower, its roots still intact. "Look! I found the violet calendula you told me about this morning. Isn't it pretty?" she chirped excitedly. Both women stared at the rare herb in astonishment. It was an incredibly valuable plant, known for its ability to counteract the venom of some of the most dangerous spiders in the eastern regions of the Land of Fire. It was also notoriously difficult to find, let alone retrieve in such perfect condition. Shizune covered her mouth, suppressing a giggle, while Tsunade chuckled into her hand. Seeing their amusement, Naruko's expression faltered, her bright blue eyes lowering in uncertainty. "Did I get the wrong one?" she asked hesitantly. Instantly, their laughter ceased. Both women realized that she had misunderstood, assuming they were making fun of her instead of appreciating her success. Tsunade gently lifted Naruko's chin, wiping away some of the mud to reveal her fair skin and the whisker-like markings on her cheeks. She leaned in and planted a soft kiss on her forehead, making the girl smile. "You never cease to amaze me, Naru-chan. You found exactly the right one. If you keep this up, you'll take my title as Queen of Elixirs and become the Princess of Elixirs yourself," she teased. Naruko's eyes sparkled with excitement. "Really?" she beamed. Tsunade nodded, using the sleeve of her kimono to wipe away more of the dirt. The expensive fabric was quickly ruined, but she couldn't have cared less. Seeing Naruko's joyful grin and hearing her giggles made it more than worth it. "All right, young lady, time for a bath." Before she could finish, Naruko wiggled out of her grasp and bolted from the kitchen, laughing playfully. Shizune giggled, already knowing what would happen next. This had become a routine occurrence in their household. "Naruko, no. Don't you dare!" Tsunade called after her, immediately giving chase. Their voices echoed through the halls, laughter mixing with playful shouts. Shizune wiped her hands on a towel before grabbing a camera on her way out. She wasn't about to let this moment slip by without capturing it forever. "Tsunade-sama is in for a workout today," she mused, hurrying after them with a fond smile. Outside, Naruko dashed toward the lake, her mother right on her heels. She turned her head with a playful smirk. "Ha ha! You'll never catch me, Ka-chan," she teased, sticking her tongue out. Tsunade grinned knowingly. She could catch Naruko anytime she wanted, but letting her daughter have her fun was far more important. After all, she was determined to preserve her little girl's joy and innocence for as long as she could. As Naruko neared the water's edge, she bit her thumb and pressed a small drop of blood against her palm, preparing to form hand seals. Inu Saru Tori Hitsuji. Ninja art, summoning jutsu. Naruko's voice rang through the clearing as she leapt into the air, flipping gracefully before pressing her palm to the ground. A surge of chakra burst from her hand, launching her upward as she completed her acrobatic maneuver. A circle of kanji illuminated the ground where she had touched down, and with a puff of smoke, a human-sized orange toad appeared, blinking in confusion as he scanned his surroundings. "Oi, Kichi! Let's go!" a cheerful voice called out. The toad turned to see his favorite blonde already dashing toward the lake. Grinning, he kicked off the ground, leaving a small dust cloud in his wake before landing right in front of her. Naruko wasted no time, hopping onto his back as he executed a powerful leap, propelling them both toward the center of the lake. "Cannonball," they shouted in unison, laughing. Tsunade, who had just arrived at the shoreline, sighed and lifted a sleeve to shield herself from the inevitable splash. Splash! Ripples spread across the water as Naruko surfaced, shaking droplets from her golden hair. Gamakichi, beneath her, did the same. Both giggled at the sight of Tsunade, now standing half-drenched and visibly unamused. "Naruko," she murmured, her voice low but clear. Instantly, the blonde's laughter faltered. Slap slap slap. "Oi! That hurts," Gamakichi complained, rubbing his head where Naruko had been frantically patting, or rather, slapping, him. "Run, you idiot," Naruko hissed. The toad raised an eyebrow in confusion, only for his eyes to widen as he caught sight of Tsunade stepping onto the water. "On it," he declared, turning around and paddling as fast as he could. But their escape was short-lived. Within moments, Gamakichi collided with something solid. Both he and Naruko shrank comically as they tilted their heads upward, only to see Tsunade standing before them, arms crossed, her expression unreadable. They knew what was coming next. "How many times have I told you to? No cannonballs. You could get hurt. And as for the one who had you sign that summoning contract and taught you the technique without my permission." Her eyes darkened. "If I ever see him, he'll wish he hadn't." Naruko and Gamakichi exchanged nervous glances before casting their gazes downward, staring at the water's surface in silence. Naruko understood that her mother only got upset when she was worried about her. Without hesitation, she stretched her arms out toward Tsunade. Tsunade's expression softened instantly. She scooped up her daughter, and Naruko buried her face in her mother's neck, placing a small, affectionate kiss on her cheek. Just like that, all of Tsunade's frustration melted away. "I'm sorry," Naruko whispered. Tsunade smiled, running her fingers through her daughter's now clean, silky hair. She knew Naruko had a habit of using her cuteness to her advantage, but truth be told, Tsunade fell for it every time. "I'm just worried about you, Naruko. Why do you always do things like this?" she asked gently. Naruko curled up further in her embrace, grinning. "Because it's fun when you chase me, and then I get a hug," she answered, as if it were the most obvious thing in the world. Tsunade laughed, shaking her head. "Is that so?" she teased. "Hi," Naruko chirped, snuggling closer. Tsunade playfully bonked Gamakichi on the head, earning a dramatic rub from the toad. "And you? You shouldn't be encouraging her," she scolded lightly. Gamakichi mumbled something about scary moms ruining all the fun, only to yelp and vanish in a puff of smoke as Tsunade's eyes narrowed. Meanwhile, Shizune, standing a little ways away, lowered her camera with a satisfied sigh. She had just used up an entire reel of film, but it was worth it. These moments were going straight into her scrapbook. Back inside the estate, Tsunade carried Naruko to her room, setting her down so they could change out of their damp clothes. While Naruko rummaged through her drawer for dry clothes, Tsunade stepped behind a wooden screen, slipping into a fresh kimono. "Naruko, how do you always manage to find the herbs you're looking for?" she asked as she fastened her obi. "Dunno," Naruko's muffled voice replied from the bathroom. Tsunade smiled at the innocent response. It was true that her daughter had an uncanny ability to locate rare herbs, ones even seasoned medical nin struggled to find. It was as if she instinctively knew where they would be. "Most of the time, I just have a feeling about where they might be," Naruko explained. "Then I go there and look until I find them." Tsunade hummed in thought. A strong intuition. That's quite the gift for a medic, she mused, tying her damp hair into a loose bun. Moments later, Naruko emerged from the bathroom, now dressed in a red t-shirt and black pants, the Senju clan symbol stitched onto the sleeve of her right arm. Her left forearm was wrapped in white bandages that extended into a fingerless glove, a small accessory she had grown attached to. "Naruko, you don't need to wear that inside the estate," Tsunade gently reminded her. "I like it," Naruko responded cheerfully. Tsunade chuckled, letting it slide. Just then, Shizune knocked and entered the room, carefully holding a newly potted herb. "Lady Tsunade, I've placed the plant in a pot. Should I add it to the collection?" Tsunade nodded. Shizune hurried off to the herb garden, placing the rare plant alongside the others. Over time, the collection had grown impressively large, thanks in part to Naruko's discoveries. Tsunade had initially gathered a variety of common herbs to teach her daughter the basics of medicinal plants and poisons. But with Naruko's uncanny knack for finding rare species, their garden had flourished into something extraordinary. "Quite the collection, isn't it, Shizune?" Tsunade remarked, a note of pride in her voice. Shizune nodded enthusiastically. As a fellow medic, she knew how invaluable such a diverse herb collection could be in times of need. As Tsunade looked over the thriving plants, she felt a deep sense of gratitude. Her daughter was not only growing into a skilled medical ninja but also bringing warmth and joy into her life. And for that, she wouldn't change a thing. "Indeed, Naruko takes after you even more than she does me, Lady Tsunade, especially in the art of poisons and elixirs," Shizune remarked with a smile, watching as Tsunade's expression filled with pride. The young girl absorbed knowledge like a sponge, eagerly learning everything Tsunade taught her. It was only a matter of time before Naruko surpassed her, crafting her own unique blends of antidotes and medicinal concoctions. "That she does," Tsunade agreed, her voice carrying unmistakable warmth and admiration. Shizune couldn't help but smile at the affection she held for her student. "Ka-chan, should I use this?" A cheerful voice interrupted their conversation. They turned to see Naruko holding up a pair of scissors and a delicate flower petal. Tsunade nodded, guiding her on which ones to collect to counteract a common reptilian toxin. With their latest botanical addition, they now had the means to neutralize even more venom types. "Alright, Naru-chan, this time I'll let you prepare the elixir yourself. Hands-on experience is the best way to learn," Tsunade said, giggling as the girl's face lit up with excitement. Naruko crouched down, watching intently as Tsunade placed her palm on a small patch of grass. With a subtle twist of her wrist and precise chakra control, Tsunade manipulated the earth, forming a small pit in the ground. Naruko pouted, crossing her arms. She had been pestering Tsunade to teach her that technique, but her mentor wasn't ready to give in just yet. "No, Naru-chan. You need to master water manipulation first before moving on to earth techniques. Not even a basic jutsu until then, and don't think those puppy dog eyes will change my mind," Tsunade warned before Naruko could protest, making the girl huff in disappointment and pluck at the grass. "But you won't let me keep plants in my room, and now you won't teach me this either," Naruko mumbled, her voice laced with quiet sadness. Tsunade sighed. She knew how much Naruko adored plants, treating them like cherished pets. But if she allowed her to bring them all inside, their home would turn into a dense forest. While beautiful, it could also be problematic, given the way plants release oxygen and carbon dioxide at different times of the day. Seeing the unshed tears glistening in Naruko's eyes tugged at her heartstrings. In that moment, she almost caved, tempted to let the girl grow a whole tree in her bedroom just to make her smile again. "Naru-chan," she called softly. The girl sniffled and looked up at her expectantly. "I'll make you a deal," Tsunade said, crouching to meet her gaze. "If you listen and follow my instructions, I'll start teaching you how to heal cuts and scrapes using the basics of my mystical palm jutsu." Before she could even finish, Naruko launched into her arms, squeezing her tightly. "You're the best, Ka-chan," she exclaimed, her previous disappointment vanishing instantly. Tsunade laughed, placing a gentle kiss on her forehead before watching as she eagerly returned to her lesson. Naruko carefully placed the flower petals and roots into the small earthen pit. Tsunade, using her refined chakra control, snapped her fingers beneath the violet calendula petals, creating a controlled flame that ignited them with precision. She quickly extinguished the fire once the petals had burned to the ideal consistency, ensuring the delicate process remained intact. She turned to instruct Naruko on the next step, only to find herself met with those wide, pleading puppy dog eyes again. The subtle sniffle only added to the effect. Tsunade groaned, pressing a hand to her forehead. She knew exactly what Naruko wanted, more than the earth manipulation. What fascinated her most was the small flame Tsunade had just conjured. But teaching her fire manipulation now would be risky. Knowing Naruko's relentless determination, she would practice it endlessly, even in her bedroom, and that could lead to disaster. Still, she couldn't bear to disappoint her completely. "Alright, Naru-chan, if you master the water walking exercise by the end of this week, I'll teach you a small Suten jutsu along with the first stage of my mystical palm jutsu. Deal?" Naruko's face instantly brightened, all traces of her earlier sadness vanishing. Tsunade chuckled. Her curiosity was boundless, and while it made teaching her a challenge, it was also what made her such an extraordinary student. She observed as Naruko effortlessly gathered moisture from the air, forming a small, hovering sphere of water between her palms. Tsunade watched in awe as the girl played with it like a toy, completely unaware of the advanced level of elemental control she was demonstrating, something most shinobi would envy. "Is this enough, Ka-chan?" Naruko asked, pulling Tsunade from her thoughts. She nodded, suppressing her amazement. While most medical ninjas prepared their elixirs using sterilized porcelain bowls, Tsunade preferred to teach Naruko a more adaptable approach, ensuring she could create remedies in any situation, even without proper equipment. Naruko carefully poured the water into the pit, and Tsunade handed her a smooth, cylindrical stone she had discreetly shaped from the ground. Watching Naruko work with precision far beyond her years, Tsunade couldn't help but feel proud. The young girl kneaded the thick, pinkish-blue elixir with practiced ease, bringing it to its final stage. Holding out a test tube, Tsunade watched as Naruko expertly transferred the liquid into the vessel without spilling a single drop. Once sealed with a cork, Tsunade examined the final product with satisfaction. "And that, my little prodigy, is your first completed elixir for treating reptilian venom found in the eastern regions of the Land of Fire," she declared, waving the test tube in front of Naruko, who beamed with pride. Tsunade tucked the elixir away, intending to store it in her cryogenic chamber for future use. Just as she was about to call for dinner, she pulled Naruko close, resting the girl's head against her stomach as they walked inside together. "I'm so proud of you, sweetheart. You're growing and learning so much in such a short time," she whispered. Naruko's face lit up at her mother's praise, and Tsunade knew she meant every word. It typically took years of intensive study before medical nin even began working with elixirs, yet Naruko was mastering them as if it were second nature. Most medics focused only on extraction techniques or relied on chakra to stabilize their patients, often waiting for the body's natural immune response. This approach, unfortunately, led to many avoidable casualties. If only more healers took their craft as seriously as Naruko, Shizune, and herself, so many lives could be saved. "Ka-chan, what are we doing tomorrow?" Naruko asked curiously, looking up at her with wide, expectant eyes. Tsunade smiled, ruffling her golden hair and earning a giggle from the girl. "I'll begin guiding you on converting your regular chakra into medical chakra. It's fantastic that you have such a strong affinity for water, it's an invaluable trait for a medical ninja. This affinity allows you to access advanced techniques in our field much sooner without having to spend months mastering the element before progressing to more specialized skills," Tsunade explained wisely, watching as Naruko nodded and smiled in response. "Once you've developed a solid foundation, we can start working in a small clinic in a nearby village. You'll gain hands-on experience treating real patients while also helping the locals. Shizune and I can handle more serious cases. It's been a while since we've had a proper challenge, and we need to stay sharp as well," Tsunade added. She noticed Naruko's enthusiasm at the thought of stepping outside. While Tsunade wanted to keep her safe from any potential dangers, she also recognized that sheltering her too much wasn't the best approach. Naruko needed to see the world beyond their training and interact with others if she was going to grow, both as a person and as a shinobi. They sat down for dinner in comfortable silence until a sudden puff of smoke appeared beside them, accompanied by the clanking of wooden sandals. Both Tsunade and Shizune sighed in exasperation, while Naruko perked up with excitement. "Ladies, prepare yourselves, for the undeniable charm of the gallant toad sage, Jiraiya, has arrived," declared the exuberant sage as he struck a dramatic kabuki pose, tossing his hair back proudly. Naruko clapped excitedly at his entrance, always entertained by the different performances he prepared for her. "Jiraiya!" the blonde girl exclaimed cheerfully, causing him to stumble in shock, much to the amusement of Tsunade and Shizune. "Don't call me like that so casually, you little rascal," he scolded her half-heartedly, though Naruko only responded with a mischievous grin. Tsunade had once told her to keep a playful attitude with her godfather, and Jiraiya often lamented the lack of respect his own goddaughter showed him. He dramatically bemoaned how people across the world revered his literary works, yet his own family failed to recognize his greatness. Naruko yawned and nestled into Tsunade's embrace, making the older woman smile. Despite her boundless energy, she always sought comfort in Tsunade's arms when she was tired. Jiraiya watched, feeling a twinge of jealousy at how effortlessly the young girl found warmth and security in Tsunade's care. However, before his thoughts could wander too far, a plate came flying toward his face, knocking him backward from his chair. "Keep your thoughts respectable, or I swear, I'll send you flying across the continent," Tsunade warned, cracking her knuckles. Shizune giggled as Jiraiya groaned from his place on the floor, clearly dazed. Later that night, Tsunade tucked Naruko into bed, pressing a gentle kiss to her forehead as she smiled at the peaceful expression on the young girl's face. She would have liked to stay by her side, but she knew Jiraiya's unexpected visit likely carried important news. She returned to her seat, immediately noticing the shift in Jiraiya's expression. His usual playful demeanor was gone, replaced with quiet seriousness. "Tsunade. There are a lot of people searching for her now, he began gravely. Especially Kumo and Iwa. Now that their forces have regained strength, Kumo wants Uzumaki blood in their ranks, taking advantage of the fact that someone of her lineage has slipped beyond the village's protection. Meanwhile, Iwa is after the fourth Hokage's heir. They either want to claim her for themselves or eliminate her before she can grow strong enough to rival her father's legacy. Tsunade's stomach tightened at his words. She had half a mind to cancel Naruko's outings entirely for her safety, but she quickly steeled herself. Sheltering her indefinitely wasn't an option. Naruko needed to experience the world, even if it meant facing some risks. That's not all, Jiraiya continued. There's a dangerous group forming. They're gathering information on Naruko and the twins specifically. I don't know what their ultimate goal is, but they're paying unusually close attention to her, which means they're after her tenant, Tsunade concluded, her expression darkening. Shizune gasped in horror. Who would dare seek control over such an immense and uncontrollable force? Exactly. So be extremely careful, Jiraiya urged. Tsunade nodded, though her mind raced with concern. She had promised Naruko she could explore more, and if she was too restrictive, the girl might act recklessly on her own. It was better for Naruko to experience the world under her supervision than to sneak out unprepared. I'll keep that in mind. Thanks, Jiraiya, she responded firmly. Jiraiya nodded in approval before shifting to another pressing matter. Tsunade, he said softly. Immediately, she tensed. She knew him too well. Any time he spoke in that tone, it meant he was about to ask for something she wouldn't like, something that likely involved Naruko. We need to intensify Naruko's training. Medical ninjutsu is valuable, but she also needs to be prepared for. He trailed off as Tsunade abruptly stood up and turned away. She is fine as she is. This discussion is over. You may take the guest room if you wish to stay the night. Tsunade's words were abruptly cut off when Jiraiya rose to his feet, his expression firm and unyielding. It was clear he had no intention of backing down. Tsunade. His voice carried such gravity that Shizune involuntarily shivered. The tension in the room escalated as the two legendary Sannin locked eyes, their tempers flaring simultaneously. There are people, dangerous people, after her. Healing alone won't protect her, no matter how skilled she becomes. She needs combat training, Jiraiya began, but Tsunade's piercing glare silenced him mid-sentence. If healing isn't enough, then my own strength will be, she countered, her voice laced with unwavering determination. Jiraiya returned her glare, his frustration evident. And how long do you plan to shelter her? Keeping her under your wing, shielding her from reality? For as long as I live, she shot back without hesitation. Both had placed their hands on the table, their growing frustration palpable. Shizune swallowed nervously as the air grew heavy with their unchecked chakra, their presence suffocating in intensity. Tsunade, think about what you're saying. She needs proper training, real-world experience. If she is to become a skilled leaf shinobi, she must be prepared. She is my goddaughter. That was a mistake. The moment the words leaf shinobi and goddaughter left his lips, Tsunade's anger surged to an overwhelming degree. She is my daughter, she roared, unleashing an immense surge of energy. The sheer force of her fury caused even Jiraiya to flinch. In a single motion, she slammed her fist down, splitting the dining table cleanly in half with her legendary strength. You all want to steal her childhood, push her into relentless training, and mold her into a warrior like Minato, expecting her to match his skill in mere years. But she is not a tool. She will live her own life, on her own terms, and mine, she declared with finality, her voice firm and unwavering. Jiraiya scowled. Even Kushina agreed to intensify their training. Tsunade's hands clenched into fists, barely restraining herself from launching him straight through the walls and into the Hokage's office. She can do whatever she wants. But Naruko is my daughter, and I will decide what is best for her. A soft, heart-wrenching sob interrupted their heated exchange. Both turned toward the doorway, their tempers cooling instantly at the sight of a trembling Naruko, curled up with her knees drawn to her chest. Tears streamed down her face as she cried quietly, overwhelmed by the sheer intensity of the argument. Shizune, who had instinctively stepped back during the table's destruction, felt her heart clench. The realization struck both Sannin at once. They had let their emotions get the best of them, their chakra and presence becoming too overpowering for a child to endure. Tsunade immediately moved to Naruko's side, lifting her onto her lap and holding her close. She rocked her gently, whispering soft reassurances as she pressed light kisses to her tear-streaked face, trying to soothe her. The overwhelming aura of a Sannin could be terrifying to any child, no matter how strong they were. I'm so sorry, my little one. I didn't mean to scare you, she murmured, stroking Naruko's hair as the girl clung to her. Jiraiya felt a wave of guilt wash over him. He had allowed his emotions to spiral out of control, frightening his own goddaughter. He opened his mouth to apologize, but the moment he met Tsunade's eyes, filled with unspoken pain and unwavering fury, he knew there was nothing he could say to make amends in that moment. Leave. Her voice was quiet, but the weight of her words was undeniable. Jiraiya hesitated for a brief moment before giving a small nod. Without another word, he vanished in a swift, silent movement. Tsunade continued to hold Naruko, gently rubbing her back as she felt the girl's breathing slow. Exhausted from fear and emotion, Naruko had fallen into an uneasy sleep in her mother's arms. Tsunade tightened her embrace, pressing her cheek against the golden strands of Naruko's hair. As much as she despised Jiraiya's approach, she couldn't deny the truth in his words. Naruko did need to grow stronger. But she refused to push her into grueling training like a mere weapon. There was a way to prepare her, a way to ensure her safety, without stripping away the innocence of her childhood. And now, she knew exactly how to proceed. Dear YouTube family. That's a wrap for now. Make sure to subscribe and stay tuned for more exciting content coming your way. Thanks for your support. Much love. 6 Path Weeb.